pivotal moments in the movie, whether it's, I don't know what the official term is, when you're running those lines and the assistant coach is sitting there going, can we keep doing this? How accurate are some of those moments, the speech? Does it bring you back, and what is it like seeing the movie portrayal?
The speech is a little longer than Herb's speech, but we've talked about what it was. I remember born to be a player, meant to be here. This moment is yours. Tonight, this is your moment. But I will say, prior, the day before in practice, Herb talked a lot about what they put into the speech. They're ready to be beat. If anybody can beat him, you guys. That was his speech the day before the Soviet game. Talked about the game, what it's going to be. And right at the game, like I said, I think they took a little of that speech and incorporated it into the pre-game speech. When we watched the movie as a team, we determined three things. John Harrington played better in the movie than he did during the Olympics. Jack O'Callahan played more in the movie than he did during the Olympics. And Jimmy made a lot of saves, but he didn't make that many saves. We had some great defensemen. Kenny Morrow, who went from the Olympic team to 4 straight Stanley Cups. It was a great defenseman. Yeah. And we were watching the movie, and Kenny had not been mentioned yet. And all of a sudden, he stands up in the theater, the premiere, just for the team, and he goes, "Was I even on this team?" So we kind of got a kick out of that. But I think, I've only seen the Soviet game. I've seen it twice. Last time I saw it was about 7 or 8 years ago. And somebody said, "How come you don't watch the game?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to be sitting at home and my buddies show up. Mike, let it go, it's over." You watch the Soviet game. But I will tell you something though, I scored with 10 minutes left to go in the game, and the Soviets had 7 shots on goal in the last 10 minutes. So I think, again, a tribute to our team and conditioning, and I think, and they mentioned that in the movie.
Yeah.
I know there are some hockey people here, but in the third period of the Olympics, we outscored our opponent 17-3. That's an incredible number. So those Herbies, that's what we know in those drills, the Herbies.
Okay.
We did them all year, not to the extent that we did them in Norway. But the scene in Norway, we skated. We weren't on the bench looking at the girls. I told my wife that. As a Minnesota guys were looking at the girls, I wasn't looking at anybody.
Sure, my God.
But I tell this story because I think it was a reflection of Herb as a coach. We skated that night because we lost sight of an important value. There are a lot of important values in life, and the most important was respect. And we skated that after that game because 1, we didn't respect ourselves, 2, we didn't respect each other, and 3, we didn't respect our opponents. And that was kind of something that Rip talked to us throughout the course of the year. So it started with that skating scene about respecting each other and the time and effort and work and sacrifices that you put in. It carried over, but that scene happened, like I said, but not all of us skated. Only 16 of us skated during the drills, and we did them for an hour. They shut the lights off like they did here. We thought we were done, and we weren't. and then, when we were finally finished, Herb brought us back in the locker room and said, "If you guys play again like this tomorrow, you're going to skate again." Well, we beat Norway 8-0 the next day. So lesson learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, no surprise, I was born in 1990. So miracle is how I have that moment in my brain. How important is that as you look at over the 20 years, right? And we've got some younger people in the crowd that do not remember this moment when it happened in real time. What does having a film like this do for young fans, young sports fans, just people wanting to learn a history lesson a little bit?
Yeah, it was interesting. We were talking about it in dinner before the screening, and the movie was a little over 20 years after the event. So you bring in a whole new group of younger people into the tent and that's what we keep doing. And the movie keeps playing, and it had such a long life after. And of all the films I've done, I've been really proud of the films I've done. This one probably has the most staying power, and it's mentioned more than any film because it had just that special appeal, and still does. I mean, there's no difference with the audience reacting tonight as it did in the premiere or any screening that I ever went to, and it just shows you how kind of caught up you can be in an event when you know what the ending is, but you know the work and the challenges these guys had. I mean, it's the greatest, in my opinion, certainly the greatest American underdog story ever. I mean, it'd be like the high school team beating the Yankees. I mean, that team was so good they beat. you know, they destroyed the NHL All-Star team. We tried to capture that, and they were that good. So on that night, though, the U.S. team was the best.
A follow-up question for Mark, and then I have a question for Patty, and then we'll open it up to the audience. And so we'll get, I think, someone running mics. And Mark, Kurt Russell's role, was that something you knew? I want Kurt Russell to be Herb, or was that? Take us through the process of Kurt Russell getting that lead role as coach.
Yeah, he was one of the top choices that we had.
Who was the others? You got to give us another one.
I'll tell you a good story. It's years later now, but Michael Douglas. We had heard through his agent that he wanted to meet on it and wanted to play, and he was a big star at the time. And we went to his place in LA, and I was with Gavin, and my former partner, and we're sitting in his living room, and he was into the story, and he was kind of talking, but he kept asking how we were going to shoot it. And you know, he had been a director before, and he kept doing this and cropping himself because he didn't want to really learn how to skate. So it was like, how can you shoot around me? Was kind of what he was saying, and we knew, you know, that wasn't going to be who we wanted. We wanted someone that was going to put themselves into it. And Kurt Russell should have been nominated. He was that good, and it's a shame he wasn't. You know, I think it's a little harder for a sports movie, but so many people talk about his performance. It was amazing how he captured it. I mean, you were around, you know.
So Patty, you